Today we have a little bit more of a technical question, which was how to, turn on and off an effects chain for a very specific amount of time. Meaning like, you might have a verse and a chorus, you're using the same loop or you're using the same synthesizer, but you have a different effects chain. How would you go about doing that? So right now we can listen, and this is what we have. And then I have this effects chain that I would like to apply in this period here. So from bar 9 through bar 17. And, there's a lot of ways we could do this. The most obvious way would just be to turn on and off our effects chain. And to do that, the last parameter you click is what appears here. You could do this on the master bus. You could do it in a group as long as your effects are in the right location. We just go in, turn this off, go to our point where we want to turn it on, and do the exact same thing over here. Go to our point where we want to turn it off, and then it's off. The issue with this is because this is a sample and because there's reverb in this effects chain, you can see there, we're going to have something very abrupt to happen. Right? You can hear that, and then we'll hear it on the way out as well. So when that gets turned off, it's shutting everything down. So the reverb tail, everything is just gone. Maybe that will work for your genre of music. It usually won't. So what you could try to do instead is if you do have your effects in a chain, which is what I would recommend a lot of times, because sometimes turning the dry wet control inside of the chain inside of Bitwig Studio can be smoother than inside of a plugin, depending on how that plugin works. So in the case of RC20, if I change the magnitude, for example, that's by design, based on how that plugin works. Like you can hear that tearing, that like digital 8-bit tearing, which we're not going to get when we move the mix knob here. It's just a taste thing, depends on what you're going for. Now, what we could do is we could try to do just like a very basic fade in. It can be pretty abrupt, but it's going to sound a little bit smoother. And specifically for the reverb tail at the end, when we mix that out, it's not going to just suddenly cut completely. So we'll go in here, mix it in pretty much right away. Let's listen to how this sounds. I could also gain this down just to try to match it. And then on the way out, it's going to be a little bit smoother. And you could hear that would be one way we could also accomplish this. Now, the way that I would typically do it would be neither of these methods. When we're in the DAW, we have complete control. We can do whatever we want. So what I would actually do more likely in this scenario would be to duplicate. So I'm going to duplicate this track, make sure that this is still sounding the way I want it to. You can hear we're having some issues on the duplicate. Now it's sounding matched up. Okay, cool. So I don't know why sometimes that happens. I think it's something with RC20. Don't really know, don't really care. But on this second version here, this is going to be our variation. So we'll call this, synth variation. And then this is going to be our standard synth. Now, typically what I'll do is I won't eliminate this entirely, although we don't need the chain here. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn this one way down. So it's almost like having a dry wet control. And then with this one, I would have the ability to kind of mix this separate. So let's just take a quick listen to what happens here when we bring this in. Let's listen to the end. So we can hear what's going on there. Now, what I would probably do in this case is let's listen to the tail on this. Because there's that massive reverb, what I could consider doing is closing down this filter at the end after it's finished to help us blend a little bit better. So we're going to take it. Let's actually do it from back a little bit. And this is all like just sort of like fine tuning or whatever. Okay, let's listen to this. Okay, I might bring that back a little bit. Cool. Play a little bit of a bend. And maybe on this track, I'll start to fade up the volume. And this is literally the way that I do it if I had to, okay? These are very kind of extreme, so it's gonna be a little bit tricky to really get this guy to blend, but I'm gonna start to bring this back up a little bit. Let's take a listen. Okay, that sounds a little bit smoother. And then the final thing that I would probably do would be to add like a reverb or something onto this synth part just to help glue it together. Or I could even do it on an effect track and just send it when I need to. So send it right at the end here from bar 8 to bar 9 to help us with our feed. And then again, you know, as we're coming out of this, start to send it back in so we just kind of have something smoother that glues it. So let's listen one more time and let's try that out. Apply a slight fade there. And I'm going to get creative. I'm going to try to make this blend really work. So this is going maybe a bit above and beyond, but in real life, this is the way that I would probably try to solve this. A lot of fine tuning. Oh yeah. See, I like that transition much better. All right, so I've really taken this to the extreme to really try to get these two parts to kind of glue up and work together and make this transition as smooth and seamless as possible. I'm sure there'd be other parts going on at the same time, but if there's not, I mean, this would be probably the way I would try to accomplish it. So I've added in this delay throw plus a little bit of a reverb. And the reason why I'm doing delay and then reverb is that there already is some reverb attached to this audio file, as you can hear. And the problem with going just like additional reverb is it might be a bit much, especially when we throw it. So I'm just going to throw it at the end to help us with the transition. So let's hear how that throw works. You can hear that coming in. And then I also have that set up at the very end of this synth variation. Okay, and you can hear there's some other stuff going on as well. So on the group, I put them together in a group. I'm running it through NLS Bus, and then I'm also doing a little bit of a filter action here right at the end to make that transition feel more like natural. And really, you'd probably even do that on the drums too, so it wouldn't just be on the synth group, but you know, I don't feel like resetting it up. And then we're also going into an instance of the glue, so we're kind of compressing these pieces together and just hoping that it puts it all into one nice place for us. So let's just listen back through to it and listen to those transitions. And honestly, that would probably be the way I personally would accomplish or go about this scenario. It seems like a lot of work, but it really isn't. If you're just thinking about how to make those pieces fit, that would be the way I would do it personally. And hopefully that has been useful. So that was a very roundabout way of answering the question, how do you kind of turn on an effects chain specifically for, you know, one small bit of time in the overall scheme of your track. Thanks for watching. Hope you have a wonderful day. Take care. Bye.